What's up, everybody? Chester ARP Church Devotional Podcast. Thanks for joining us. Mitch brings us in as he finishes up. We'll jump into Genesis 25, talking about Esau and Jacob. We'll be right back.
Gives me grace for every trial, feeds me with the living bread.
All right. Well, thank you so much for being with us again. Genesis chapter 25 is where we'll be. The story of Esau selling his birthright. Remember, Esau and Jacob were born to Isaac and Rebekah. They were twins. There was a period of barrenness for 20 years in the relationship when Rebekah was unable to conceive a child. Isaac prays. God hears the prayer and answers it, and Rebekah is able to conceive. The two come out. There's a prophecy that says from God that Esau will serve Jacob. The older will serve the younger. And now we have the story of Esau and Jacob and how Esau sells his birthright to Jacob. And this is where it goes. When the boys grew up, Esau became an expert hunter, an outdoorsman. But Jacob was a quiet man who stayed at home. Isaac loved Esau because he had a taste for wild game, but Rebekah loved Jacob. Once when Jacob was cooking a stew, Esau came in from the field exhausted. He said to Jacob, "Let me eat some of that red stuff, because I am exhausted." That is why he was also named Edom. Jacob replied, "First, sell me your birthright." "Look," said Esau, "I'm about to die. So what good is a birthright to me?" Jacob said, "Swear to me first." So he swore to Jacob and sold his birthright to him. Then Jacob gave bread and lentil stew to Esau. He ate, drank, got up, and went away. So Esau despised his birthright. Now this is a fascinating story. One, it's a fascinating story because Esau was the firstborn, and therefore Esau should have been the one who was going to receive the inheritance, who was going to be the chosen one in the family. He was going to get the majority share. It was going to be passed down. Leadership was going to go through Esau from Isaac. And Isaac loved Esau. They had a deep relationship, a great relationship, because Isaac loved the wild game. Isaac loved the stew that Esau was able to make. But Rebekah loved Jacob. And so Esau comes in. He's hungry from the field. He'd been out hunting, looking around, and comes in. And Jacob has made a stew, and he says, "I want some of that stew." Jacob says, "Sell me your birthright." Jacob's a conniver, and we'll notice that throughout the rest of his story. Jacob devises a plan to get the birthright from Esau. Now remember, this is part of God's plan, but there's evil in it. And so Jacob is saying evil in the way it carries out, with Jacob being deceptive and Jacob sinning against his brother, and Jacob later on and his mom developing a plan to trick his father. But God has a purpose and a plan. Doesn't mean God's plan's evil, doesn't mean God's plan's wrong. It just means that that's the way that Jacob carries it out in this life. And so Esau comes up, and Jacob says, "Sell me your birthright." Esau, given over to the tyranny of the immediate, the tyranny of the moment, says, "I'm starving, I'm hungry." And it's interesting, he says specifically here, "I'm about to die." Now, he's not going to die. He's speaking of being hungry. We have no indication that Esau's on his deathbed. What we have an indication of is Esau has been out, he's starving, he's hungry, he wants to eat very badly. Jacob has fixed this nice meal, and he just wants to eat. And so he's like, what does it matter? We also made note that he is perhaps recognizing the brevity of human life. We don't know what's going on, but whatever it is, he decides in that moment, the tyranny of the moment takes over. He decides that he does not need to prepare for his future. He wants to satisfy his desires in the short term and not wait for what is going to come to him later on. In fact, he doesn't even care about it, because all he wants is that immediate fix. He wants that immediate need to be met. As I read that, I can't help but think of my own life, and I'm sure you can't help but think of your own life, and how we do the exact same thing. We work in the tyranny of the moment, the immediate fit. We want that right now. Meet me where I am. I don't care about tomorrow. I don't care about what's going to happen later today. I don't care about what's going on. Just meet my needs right now, and I desperately want it. And what we find here is that Esau despises his birthright, sells it to his brother Jacob, and he can't get it back. He'll get angry with Jacob. He'll want it back, but he can't get it back because he took the steps in the short term to meet a short-term need without regard to what is best for him in the long run. So let me challenge you and encourage you on that. Think about where you are, and if there is an issue in your life that you are willing to meet the needs in the short term and not care about the long term and the consequences of that decision, then maybe you need to reevaluate where you are with reference to your relationship with God. Self-sacrifice, sacrifice in the short term, usually always pays off in the long term. You guys have a great day. God bless you. Be encouraged. Don't get the impression God's will is bad. It's not. Jacob and Esau had a broken relationship. There were two brothers who both were sinners, and they interacted with each other differently, and ultimately God drew a straight line with two crooked sticks. You guys take care. God bless you. I'll see you tomorrow.
You care.